everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory, prices, and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hi.
Reuben Bressler.
One moment, I'm giving myself my cup.
He is literally pouring a cup of tea right now. We just want you to know.
Love it.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we also get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. But we don't have one currently, but if you want to, that's where you can go. We also kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Our giveaway is a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com because I'm boring. And there's a link in the chat, and it's fine. It's just as good as money, and it spends the same. Yeah, there's less upkeep for me. All right. But that brings us to our first pick. As Reuben begins the sipping. Over the weekend was Grand Prix LA. Also over the weekend was Grand Prix Providence or whatever, wasn't there?
Yeah, who cares?
Weekend?
500 people showed up?
Grand Prix Providence, SCG, Dallas, but who cares?
Yeah, whatever. Sure. There were events, but only one.
There was
really
an Eternal
mattered.
Weekend in Asia, won by
Survival Salad.
Survival Salad that you can go find results for online, but we don't have time for that.
No time for that. We got to keep rolling to Alex Bertoncini making top 8 of GPLA. The entire room booing as this is announced. For good reason, I feel. And
it was a very weird feeling to be in the room and they announced top 8 because I saw, first of all, it was interesting that the final round Alex could have theoretically drawn into top 8. His opponent refused the draw. Local guy lost himself out of top 8, I think.
Wow. To
try to prevent Alex. Would not draw with him.
Yeah, that's more or less what happened, and essentially there was some conversation about how the mods were handling it, and we have a very good friend of the show who is a mod.
I'm also a mod.
Mr. Dixon IJ.
Oh yeah, Aaron, were you in chat for this?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So tell me about how the mod community was reacting.
How did that work?
Because this was a hell of a thing.
So I mean, I can't speak to what other mods are doing because, we really don't have, to my knowledge, we really don't have like a set, sort of blanket guideline. For me personally, I was mostly dealing with the people who kept trying to bring civics into it. As they're like, this is a First Amendment issue. This is a liberty issue. Wizards is treasonous. I was like, get out of here. And so I was mostly dealing with the people who were trying to bring that into this. Of like, there was one guy who kept making screen names of Wizards hates liberty. And I was like, you get out of here. And so, I was mostly dealing with that sort of thing. But, the difference, the thing that it's my understanding that the mods were really going after people who were making it, who were going after, they weren't keeping it fact-based, or like they were making it more bashing. Like there's a real fine line, from what I understand, in terms of like bringing up a fact and then bringing up an exaggeration, saying that, Reuben as a podcaster is a fact, saying that Reuben's a hideous blood-sucking centaur is not. And so, like, unless you are and you didn't tell me.
Except that one time in college, he didn't know. he was sorry.
But from what I understand, the mods were mostly going after people who were either being excessive about it or who were bringing up things that had nothing to do with it. Like, it isn't a free speech issue. Or they were just being excessive about it or just not dropping the subject. Or that was my understanding of what they were going after. But like I said, I can only tell you how I was reacting to things and who I was timing out or who I was blocking. And I was just going for the people that had nothing to do with the current issue. They were, just bringing up all sorts of egregious things.
And I know that one of the issues with chat and that people were bringing up was that they were being the impression was that the mods were being more militant about referencing Alex's past with cheating than they are with sexist or racist comments, which I also know to be untrue, but also I wasn't in chat this weekend. So,
and like I said, I mean, I'm not in chat all the time either. It's like, there are the dedicated mods, and then there are those of us who are the visible personalities who have been given a mod sword because of our work with one of the community super leagues. And so I can tell you that, again, that when I'm in chat and I see something like that, I deal with that. I can't say what the other mods are doing. They have their own sort of rules and their own guidelines and what they consider to be going too far. And so, I can tell you that when I'm online and I see women or trans folks or something being mentioned, I deal with that. I can't speak for what the others do. And there should be, though. The bottom line is there should be a blanket guideline and there should be, rules. And it's my understanding that there may or may not be. And that's a valid criticism. But to say that, it's always like that, or to point to certain people and, we're just not qualified to say what other people like Justin Cohen was there, and Justin Cohen just popped off and he made a comment that was like, all you bitches have been screwing up chat. And it was like, but people were using that as a way to say that we were all being that aggressive when he was speaking for himself as an individual and not for the mod team.
Let's also note that there's just no perfect training. There's no perfect guidelines. There's nothing that you could do that every single mod is going to react exactly the same way to exactly the same type of stuff.
Right.
It's live. It's live, TV, internet streaming.
There are moments, and there are also certain moments that will cause the chat to go by very, very quickly, where things do get sort of lost in the shuffle. The Paul thing is another one. Like if Paul Cheon comes on camera, chat immediately turns into Paul. And so that's something, you're going to miss something in that tirade. Or there was a moment, there was a really sweet play that happened on camera, and again, chat just sort of blew up. And so, in an ideal situation, yes, there would be sort of blanket guidelines and everybody would be on the same page and chat would move at a speed where everybody could see it. But, things do happen, and I'm not excusing that, but there are variables where things can slip through.
Yeah, but in this case, it was brought on by this whole other issue.
I'm not sure what people thought they were going to. I'll be the bad guy here. I'm not sure what people thought they were going to accomplish by yelling about him in Twitch chats. What did you think was going? Did you think
anybody going to whenever you respond to your aunt that you disagree with politically in a Facebook post, or
right.
that you yell at a stranger on Twitter?
There was nobody from Wizards in that stream. Nobody was reading that. It's kind of like you had people that were following him around and live tweeting what he ate that day, where it's it's great that you did that, but did you call a judge? No. Well, then what are you doing here? And so I understand people being upset about him playing, and I understand people being in their feelings, but what do you think yelling about it in Twitch chat is going to accomplish? But on the other hand, I understand that Wizards has not been great about responding to anything lately, even in their official channels. And so I understand the frustration too of not having anywhere else to go. But my perspective was what's this going to accomplish?
And that's fine. But look, ultimately the mod thing was sort of like a weird blip, because later came the accusations of there was a bunch of shady stuff that happened. There was at least 3 incidents that were pointed out in particular.
According to people who investigated, yeah. Or who were there.
People who were there and they heard about it and what happened and so on. And this included Ari Lax, who actually went on to Twitter and said, hey, what he's talking about is a different time period. I'm talking about a turn 2 play. He's talking about a turn 4 play. They didn't catch the life discrepancy until turn 4. Blah, blah, blah. Again, you're in a position as Alex Bertoncini, if you don't know, he's been DQ'd, he's been suspended multiple times. He was unrepentant until literally yesterday, or last night really, / this morning, which we'll get to. But ultimately, and still signing J-Light Rangers or whatever, the double Explorer creature.
Yeah.
Just kind of making fun of it. Really, in my opinion, just kind of rubbing the nose of everybody in it and just saying look, I did that. And I'm proud of it, and it's funny to me, and I like that. And I just reading that, and a lot of reactions from a lot of sort of community luminaries, and I'm just I gotta write something down, So I wrote down the article that you can see on CoolStuffInc.com, and I'm look, I know I'm kicking hornets' nests here, okay, I get it, but I can't.
Yeah, I really liked your article, Evan, and I just wanted to say it out loud because I know that you don't toot your own horn on camera. But Much Ado About Alex at CoolStuffInc.com that was posted on the 21st, it would have, had Evan not been a member of this program, probably would have made my list of Magic Mikesy's Article of the Year nominees, because it spells out everything in a reasonable way, in a way that isn't preachy or weird. It just is. And for such a charged issue like this, it's a excellent place to start your research into understanding why this issue is so important.
And I think ultimately it's about no matter what sort of the scandals were, no matter who was in the middle of the fight or whatever, whether it had to do with Crackgate and so on, or all sort of the drama-filled suspensions and DQs and leaving the band the game forever, whatever, there was always two sides. There's not two sides on this issue. There's literally everyone else and this guy that's causing us a lot of problems that, he served his time, but you know what? Do you
sometimes
feel better?
You just get banned for life? Yeah.
This is look at that, and if you want to sort of like if you want to sort of break it down, you'd be like, well, we're just a children's card game, and no one is, you're playing tournament Magic. That's not a right, as a human being. It's just it causes me more grief just even thinking of as a player if I want to attend the event, as someone who wants to cover these events and talk about the players and the decks that did well at them. It causes me more strife than not to have him at those events, to have him be a factor, whether or not he has, come around and determined to be a better person, and has mentioned that he's given away his Grand Prix LA winnings to charity. And that's great. I'm not saying that's a bad gesture. That's a fine gesture. That's a great gesture.
Yeah, but that's $1,500.
I mean, the other part about it was, don't just think necessarily of the money. Think of the opportunities. There are people that were they're stepped upon as his way to get up the ladder, to get up the chain, to make sure that he won, to make sure that he made top 8, so on and so forth. The people who were going to make top 8, who may have had a light shine on them, who may have had a big break, who may have started a writing career as a result of doing really well in an event, those people are out. So it's not just dollars and cents, it's really about the amount of tension, the amount of star building, the amount of, times that he was on camera and all this other stuff. It's just, that all adds up. And it's like, who is here defending him? And there's no one from Wizards we can even talk to. We can't even sort of like reason with somebody or have them explain to us why, this is the way the policy is. And we just want you to understand that we're taking this issue seriously. We're talking about it internally. No one's saying anything from Wizards' side. And at one point, someone just kind of said, I think it was in the Discord chat, they said something like, Wizards just does not care about competitive play. And I'm like, I can see where Wizards is spending money on competitive play. Okay, I get that. The broadcast, that's not an easy thing to do. That's an expensive thing to do. But in terms of like, these are things we really care about. These are things that we're really concerned about. And there's just crickets, man. Even if it's just private, like I've had private conversations with lots of Wizards folks, from all the spectrums of the business who care about all these different things. And it is incredibly frustrating that Wizards, when they decided that whoever was now running that post, whoever's in that job right now, it's been vacant for more than a year, so somebody's in it.
Yeah.
Are not talking.
Somebody is in it.
Yeah.
I can confirm someone is in it.
I can too, yeah. He has just actively chosen to take a more passive role and has chosen to sort of be, kind of the anti-Helene. And it's my understanding that the way she interacted with the community was not seen as, I don't want to say not seen as a positive, but just she didn't have to do that. She did all these things because she enjoyed being part of the community and she loved the community. And that was never like an expectation of her job. She went out of her way to do that. And so the person who ended up filling the role, because that's not sort of what the role entails innately, has chosen not to do that. And so that's just another reason why, we miss Helene and why it was very good when we had her. But yeah.
So Alex writes the article on Facebook. This is like 5,000 words. This is a
it's
big
a lot.
Alex, so this is a big thing, this note that he writes. Now, I know what we're going to do in a minute, but just to give you some context, Alex has never admitted to any cheating previous to this.
Yeah.
In this, he at least admits to some cheating that would have led to the first suspension.
Sure.
And so that is a huge second shoe to drop after all of the Twitter discussion, lots of the think pieces, including Evan's. This gets posted yesterday, and yeah, it is a hell of a manifesto.
It's now for those who have never seen anything like this from Alex, he has written stuff like this before, and so when
stuff like this,
so when I read it, and I'm like, wow, I can see how he's framing the arguments and he's putting the empathy and he's trying to put you in his shoes, and can't he just do the magic because that's what he loves more than anything. And I hear Helene go, well, I've read this 2 times already. two times before, and I'm just like, whoa, that's a big one. And then you have Patrick Sullivan, who has the most on takes of all takes in the Magic community. Like P. Sully is he's always hot fire. Said
you can do worse. You can do worse than set your social barometer and your moral compass to P. Sully North.
It's true. And he basically said, if you feel sympathy for Alex after you read this article, you're a sucker. And it's not that you're an idiot. It's that he has sort of convinced you and manipulated your feelings to be like, wow, we need to pull for him because, he was also bullied as a kid, right? And, magic was the thing that made him feel joy. And so we have to give him the magic to make the joy and all this other stuff. And there's a fascinating write-up sort of on the literary way that he crafts this argument.
Yeah, if you go to the Reddit thread where this is discussed, a user named Drake Blood has Drake Blood 4 has a fascinating literary breakdown of the note. Obviously, you can talk to sociology majors or psychology majors to look at this and look at the verbal gymnastics that are being performed in the note. The other recent development that I've noticed, because I've been checking the comments on the note relatively recently, is that it seems that Alex is trimming the negative comments from being shown and blocking certain people from seeing the note after said comments have been posted. So once again, trying to control the narrative and again, not really telling the whole story.
So I'm going to put a permalink to the literary sort of breakdown because it's really interesting. And
the way that Alex frames what's happening here is unique. I started out by saying this is the first time that Alex has admitted any wrongdoing, and that is true. But this is far from an apology letter. This is far from an admission of guilt. This is a cornered animal trying to not get trapped in a fourth ban box, in my opinion. You can read into the note whatever you want, and I suggest that you do, but our job is to be talking heads on television about what we think about the Magic community. And in this case, this is not what the title says that it is.
It's also telling, and do note, I've wanted to give Alex a break a long time ago.
I've wanted to give Alex a break a long time too.
And those things just wore out after suspension after suspension and shady after shady. I'm sick and tired of it, and I just feel like Magic's better without him. But let's move back here. One of the things that literary breakdown does, and I'm only going to point out once, is Alex says something to the effect of, Magic is my whole life or is my whole adult life, and then the guy goes, fix that, because you need to fix that.
Yeah, the quote is, at no point in my adult life has Magic not been everything to me. And his response to that is fix that, which honestly is good advice for everyone in Magic.
It truly
and
is.
Everyone in anything, really. If there's something in your adult life that is everything to you, fix that.
It's tough because, life is suffering, and the more you try to hang on to something, it's going to be the harder you're going to have at it. But regardless, we're sort of there. Cedric wrote an article about, Be Better Tomorrow, where...
I loved Cedric's piece, by the way. I thought that it was really well worded. I mean, no one has ever accused Cedric of not being both charismatic and well thought out and extremely good with the written word. It's why he's arisen to the position that he is, and he's just a really good motivational thinker and speaker. And I highly recommend reading Be Better Tomorrow as well, as sort of a way to wash off a lot of the talk.
Yeah, and it has some things that, again, Alex tried to refute. Alex is a cheater. Alex is a thief. Alex has shown approximately zero remorse for his actions and refuses to acknowledge them. And note this, and this is the point I was trying to make earlier. As far as I know, Alex does not bring up or address or discuss any cheating that has not already been discussed or brought up. If this
from what I understand, that is correct. And even further than that, he doesn't discuss some of his more blatant or well-known cheats. He only brings up ones that can be easier explained away. Mm-hmm. For example, he brings up the Sower of Temptation situation that can be a cheat of circumstance or a
cheat of opportunity.
Yeah, cheat of opportunity, that's the word.
Right.
As opposed to a premeditated, which, as you know, a crime of passion going to get you like 5 to 10. If you do premeditated, you're going away for more than that. You're going away for like a quarter to life. So thanks, Jimmy from Brooklyn, for that law breakdown. I don't know where he came from, but you're welcome, America. Anyway, so he doesn't bring up the Kira cheat that is very famous from old SCG tour footage. You can go back and look at that one when he sort of slyly returns Akira to his hand from his graveyard after it's died. I don't believe he discusses the Explorers incident.
No,
in the notes.
But here's the thing: ultimately, if he were to discuss other instances of cheating that aren't already known, those could be used against him to ban him forever. Right? So, like, if he walks a line and he tries to create empathy / sympathy, if he tries to just explain away, you know, like, man, it was just on my deck and I just kind of ran with it because it was there, right? And at the same time said it wasn't premeditated and yet was relying on it and was doing it throughout these events to do so well. You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, it just showed up versus like, oops, I kind of cheated all over the place.
And to clarify, because our buddy pharmacist Judge, who we love and is not only a pharmacist and a judge, but is also a mod here and elsewhere, points out that it doesn't matter to the player investigation committee if it's premeditated or not. However, it does matter to the court of public opinion.
Right.
If you go into a tournament planning to cheat, you are looked at differently than a cheat of than a cheat of opportunity. And so that he's trying to control the narrative. That's not. He's not trying to talk to Wizards of the Coast with this note. He's talking to the court of public opinion. He's talking to folks like us. And he's talking to Twitter, and that's who he's talking to. So,
I mean, I know it was a more or less extraordinary step for me to be like, look, we should just show him the door. But I don't see an upside, and Cedric says the same thing. I don't see an upside to having him in competitive Magic. If he wins a Pro Tour, what happens? Are we happy about that? Is that a positive for the game?
Right.
Did we not just all of a sudden go, wow, what happened in that tournament, right? What went wrong? Who did he happen to do X, Y, and Z with or for or whatever? Like, and it sucks that that's his narrative, but that's the one that he's written. And that's the one he has to go out on. And I just feel like, I'm sorry, there are a million games out there, man. You don't have to play this one anymore. Go play a digital game because you can't cheat on those. Why don't you show the world how good you are at a game that is digitally programmed? You ever make
no one has ever accused Alex of not being a good Magic player. Sure. It's just that he's cheating while doing it. So that's that. The other thing is that we've been on the air for 3 years now.
Yeah.
It seems that once a year we get this huge drama issue where we're like, isn't this just better if this person isn't here anymore? So 3 years in a row saying like, please just leave to someone.
It's cool. You can go now. It's fine. And that's great. Well, there's a good way to kind of give you a barometer. Okay. And Jerry Thompson, who is 100% clean on the ups and ups, says, here's a hypothetical situation. You have a Chalice of the Void on one. This is your Chalice.
Chalice. Important.
Your Chalice.
You have a Chalice.
Oh.
The Gut Shot is in hand. Gut Shot, if you don't know, you can pay 2 life. It deals 1 damage to any target. And you wait a couple turns until they are attacking you for lethal before you cast Gut Shot, targeting them. Now, per the rules, you have to mind your own triggers. These triggers would be going on the stack, per se. These triggers would have to resolve, you say. So if you just show them the Gut Shot and they scoop, this is blank. Is it clearly cheating? Is it angle shooting? Is it a Jedi mind trick? What say you?
I mean, I wouldn't use any of the more colorful phrases. I would describe it as being against the rules because, like, because you can't, like. So let's boil it down to just hard rules. Like, can you, in pharmacist judges here. I mean, you can't choose to miss your own Chalice trigger. You can't decline that, right?
Correct.
So you have to. So you can't do that. You just can't do it. It's end of story.
Yeah, if you intentionally miss your own triggers, it's cheating.
You can't do it. So there you go. It's cheating. Like, end of story.
Wow. Well, one thing here, I know that the Cedric and Jerry start talking, and of course, Cedric's like, it's cheating, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
And David Murphy shows up, says, "I've been told by judges the showing of a card in a situation is a DQ. I'm trying to mislead the game state. It is technically in the rules to reveal any cards you want, but intending to give the impression you're casting it is, again, there's a line, and it's always fuzzy and it's always weird, but." If you're trying to essentially say, hey, this is actually going to resolve and kill you, just so they don't notice. That's the cheat part. That's the bad part.
Unfortunately, when I was voting in this poll, I didn't understand that it was our chalice. I thought our opponent had a chalice.
Yeah.
Which is why I voted for Jedi Mind Trick. And I think that is skewing some of the voting, is that, I just didn't read the thing correctly.
But that opened the door for another interesting question. Do you run spells into your opponent's chalice hoping that they'll miss one?
Oh, 100%. That's not against the rules.
I don't do that. I won't do that.
That's not against the rules.
Yeah. I mean, it is I believe it is a May trigger, correct? It is a
and they can forget
it's not a May.
No, it's not a May, but it is for them. They can miss their trigger, and you don't have to be responsible for it.
But you are. I think that the rule is something along the lines of you are expected to remember all of your own triggers. Right. Anything else could be a mistrigger, cheating penalty.
Right. I won't do that.
So for me, it's like if you don't say, pay 2 life, gut shot, counter my own spell. Or in one breath, anything shorter than doing it all in one sentence, in one thought, can be considered cheating.
Let's say somebody casts a chalice on 1, and I'm playing Legacy Dredge, which involves a lot of 1-ofs, and so
it's significantly different if it's your opponent's chalice.
Yeah, so I'm not I could go careful study and hope they space and then I can cast. I won't do that. It's too.
And that's fine, but ultimately, it's in Pharmacist Judge notes here. A player is never responsible for their opponent's triggers. It is their stuff. They need to be responsible for it. So anyway,
I think it's just because I'm visible, and I feel like if it were to get out, I think it would look so much worse than if I was just sort of an average Joe doing that. I won't do it.
We got to keep moving here because there's so much to talk about.
There is a lot.
The complete set review of Guilds of Ravnica is up to $4,113. Ladies and gentlemen, this ends at 12:15.
We made it halfway through the show without bringing up our own navel gazing.
Yeah, we got some chat on that. Way to yammer about your own crap for the first 15 minutes, y'all.
And I don't have to hang up the mountain. Yay!
It's not cool. But look,
get another couple $1,000.
And this is one of the things. Again, the Kickstarter ends tonight as we are filming at 12:15 a.m. If you want to be involved, you want to get some of the tokens that we're making for this thing, now is the time. The link is in the chat. If you're listening to it on the podcast, we're already done. So high five. But that does mean that A, we're looking to be definitely funded. B, it looks like we're absolutely having special guests, and that is awesome. Moving back to the Dominaria Kickstarter a little bit, I got in the foils. They looked like crap. They just straight looked like garbage. And I just can't have our first Kickstarter have ugly crap. And I'm going to post an update to the Kickstarter. I'm going to show pictures of what you guys are seeing.
You're so anal.
Look. Man's
you guys
don't see.
You guys don't see the Google Hangout with the 3 of us and him. And God bless him. I love this about you, Evan. But Evan wants to make sure, and I don't know if you guys appreciate this. Evan wants to make sure that everything is just right. Do you know how long it took us between when this show was first conceived and when we first went live? Because the graphics had to be just right. 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months.
A couple months.
And it was constantly the dot on the microphone is not where it needs to be. And it's all right, Evan, what?
I'm on Team Evan with the tokens, though. You know how much Magic players complain about the card quality, and we're going to send out scratchy-ass tokens? Get out of here.
Wow. Well, all I know is that they are doing a rush reprint. I hope to have them soon. And you got to have standards, because if you don't have standards, you're going to have some pretty garbage stuff, and that's not okay.
If you don't have standards, you don't have moderns either, so.
Wow. Wow.
Oh,
man, talking about bad things. Matthew Foulkes showed up.
Yeah, we ain't done talking about DQs, friends.
Oh, boy. This is like one of those top 5 stupidest ways to get DQ'd out of a tournament. Just be savagely greedy.
This
just
is
be
definitely Darwin Awards nominee.
It's really rough. And Matthew Foulkes was playing. This was in the Nationals. Is that correct? This was nationals, and you get
nationals.
Yeah, you get a flooded strand. You get a promo flooded strand for playing in nationals, and they do that and giving you like a goodie bag. I'm sure it has like a deck box and some sleeves and stuff in it. Maybe there's a play mat or something. But one of the things is the promo, right? And that promo is probably worth a good $100. And sometimes you sell your soul for $100. Matthew Foulkes here mentions in his tweet, Judge didn't collect my deck list during round 1. Go to hand it in. They asked did I receive a goodie bag. I said no, because free promo. This was lying to a judge because, it's judges who man that stuff. And I got called on it. I'm not a cheater, just a very stupid and shitty person. So this is what we call a teaching moment. And
I have never seen it for his ass, and I'm just like, ugh.
This one is just like...
While I find this particular instance to be less offensive than our first pick, I have also seen cheating directly compared to stealing before. I think that there is plenty of room in the jail cell for all, is my opinion on this one. And this is just don't be stupid. Thank God for the stupidity of criminals, right?
Right. This is a way for you to, this reminds me a lot about sort of having a job and where, for example, Pokemon Go, really popular with the people who work at Cool Stuff, right? But I'm like, look, I don't joke about firing people. If I see that during work hours, I will fire you. That's just not worth it.
You would fire someone for playing Pokemon Go on the job?
On the clock, absolutely. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. You clock out, you go get your Pikachu, you come back, you go back to work. Cool, I got no problems with that. Just don't do it while you're on the clock. And
you should have seen the day. You should have seen the day. So I don't think I was working there anymore, but I saw the tweets of during lunch break at SCG one day, there was a legendary Pokemon drop in the parking lot, and it was I saw photos of this madhouse happening. I wasn't there, but everyone was like, "Oh, time for lunch!" Holy crap! Foil Articuno out by the flower shop down the street or whatever.
Right.
It was great.
It was insane.
That's wild.
Luckily, it was during lunch break, so they didn't have to fire everyone. But
it's just a good example of it's not worth it, right? I don't care how cool that Pokemon was. It was not worth losing your job over. I don't care how cool that promo was or how much it was worth. That $100 is not worth getting you DQ'd, completely humiliated, crazy
the other thing about this instance is I don't know anything about Matthew Foulkes, but once he's DQ'd from this one and gets a suspension or doesn't, who cares? I feel like this is a person who, I don't know this person, but this is not an Alex Bertoncini situation.
Right. It was absolutely not. This was just dumb. This was just
stupid.
Straight up, you need to be a better person and not try to get them or whatever and try to max your EV and whatever. Right. Just be better, okay? This is definitely the be better tomorrow situation. You can fix this. Don't do that.
Bless his heart.
It's time for more drama. Oh yeah, we're just full up on it this week.
This would have been the first pick every other week.
Yeah, not close.
Every single other week.
Not close. Well, and for those who just joined us, let me tell you, you got plenty more to go. The Hall of Fame is out. I have a vote. So does Reuben. So does Aaron. Yes.
I kind of wish I did.
What was that?
I didn't mean anything by that. I was just making sure.
I kind of wish I didn't this time around. Can I send it back?
Well, look, first of all, vote Chris Pakula. I don't care who else you vote for. Please vote for Chris Pakula. This has gone on too long. Last year, he missed it by a couple votes or something silly, and it hurts me that he's not included. I also went back, and I was incorrect last week. I have not been part of the Hall of Fame since I think it was 2008 was when I originally got in there in terms of the selection committee. To be clear. Anyway, the ballots are out. And people are slam dunk so-and-so. And then it's slam dunk rumors and BS. And it's oh my God.
There's a lot of slinging of mud and a lot of, there is rumor of this person being a cheater that just hasn't been caught yet. There's a lot of rumor and behind the back talk and in front of the back talk.
Twitter looks like that scene in Cabin in the Woods when they let the monsters loose in the lab, and then you see the carnage,
and everyone just gets destroyed by tentacles.
That's been Twitter the last week or so, just trash.
It's been really awkward. We've had statements about Seth playing slow. We've had statements about,
Nelson.
Li Tian is like
someone setting poor BBD headless dolls and telling him like to find the body.
I don't think that's Hall of Fame related. I think that's
so
just
weird.
Creepy.
That's just weird.
That's out of left field. Has absolutely nothing we're talking about. But someone's sending doll parts to BBD. We're not making this up. That's creepy. You need to cut that out.
Multiple doll heads just randomly. Like what?
He's gotten
by name to his address.
He's got law enforcement involved. Like, this is weird. Don't do that.
They started off just sending him the doll heads, and then it culminated by someone sending him the body, like a doll body, and a note saying, "Where's my head?"
You gotta stop that. That's weird.
Anyway, back to the Hall of Fame.
Back to the Hall of Fame. Sorry, that got really weird.
Well, we went from carnage to doll heads. I mean, it was kind of appropriate.
There's just been drama from all sides. A lot of it focused on Li Chan and Seth Manfield, who are two of the big names being looked at going into the Hall of Fame this year because they have 5 Pro Tour top 8s, and that's a heck of a number. And so then there's just been tons of think pieces, and I'll let you guys discuss who you want to talk about first. But from Matt Sperling, there was sort of a half and half article with Brad Nelson about cheating in Magic as well as the Hall of Fame, sort of a crossover discussion on that. Then there was the response article about specifically Li Chan from Zen Takahashi about racism in Magic and being a racial bias against Asian players.
Well,
we'll get to that. That's another little pile.
And then, of course, we have Kai Bude and Zvi Mauschewitz's ballot articles, and Zvi's specifically touches on Chris Pikula, which comes back to the cheating discussion. So
right. So he belongs. Zvi's talking to Chris Pikula. His results, while better than they look, fall short. I do worry about the precedent that will set, but it doesn't matter. He belongs in the Hall. Vote for him. Why? Because he did something for the game that needs to be honored and remembered as much as possible. Like, I'm telling you, back in the day, when people would make you de-sleeve, can you imagine the horror of just in Standard? If you could just do that in Standard, how you would troll people so hard. They did that in the 90s. They actually did, and it was awful.
It is very important, tying back into our cheating discussion, to not simply poo-poo the cheaters. It is also important to laud the aggressive and powerful voices for good on the other side against cheating. And Chris Pikula, there is no greater paladin of early Magic, as Zvi talks about, who was there in his little article there, of a force for good in early Magic when it wasn't looking like it was always going to be that way. So highly recommend reading that one as well.
Right. So that does actually bring us to Zen Takahashi's article, which talked about racism and the Magic community. Now, I can tell you that having gone to lots of events, having gone to a bunch of pro tours, having got to hang out with pro players after the event, before the event, during the event, it absolutely happens that all of X country are cheaters. All of Y country are cheaters. And don't play, make sure you don't get a judge call with so-and-so, because they'll call over a friendly judge from their country and you'll get screwed. Like, that is a thing that continues to happen. I'm not sure if it's to this day, because I'm not at the events that much anymore, but for the time that I was at them, that's just a thing. And whether it was an SCG Open or whatever, all the way up to a Pro Tour, I would hear the same thing. And it's moved over through the years. It used to be the Japanese were cheaters, and suddenly it was the Brazilians are cheaters, now it's the Portuguese are cheaters, and whatever, man. Just the idea essentially that because they're different, and that's a problem, and now all of a sudden one person represents every person from that country or every person from that race or whatever, those people are bad. So the article kind of goes over the fact that A, how does that feel? And B, the idea that hey, when English isn't our first language, we're kind of really afraid of screwing up a judge call and trying to explain things exactly the right way, whereas the other player is just waiting for that gotcha moment of they said something the wrong way or they didn't say it exactly the same way they did the first time, and they're screwed, and then they're going to get DQ'd, and then suddenly they're cheaters and everybody's cheaters again. So it was really interesting. It goes super deep. Like, this article goes all the way to the bottom of the barrel in terms of what it felt like having met his heroes who say bad things about people of his nationality and stuff. It's crazy, but it is real. I believe this is actually happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean it's is it a hell of an article. And it's talking about something that I have never read anything quite like it in terms of topic or in terms of depth. And it will be interesting to see what the reaction to it will be. I think that it is a deep issue that I have not had enough time to reflect on. But I think that the next week or so, we still have another week,
right,
before we have to turn in our Hall of Fame votes.
Right.
They are due on the 29th.
Day after my birthday.
Oh, well, excellent. That's an interesting birthday present.
That's next next Wednesday, right?
I mean, a better birthday present would be being able to vote for Reed, but this is fine.
Next year in Jerusalem for you. That'll be your Passover story. But yeah, I think that it's such this whole Hall of Fame season so far has been so confusing. There's so much noise from a community that is very good at being organized and thoughtful, and having the facts and doing the math. And it seems like this has been quite the chaotic, different type of discussion. So hopefully over the next week there will be more organization, and we'll be able to figure out exactly what's real and what's not, and have more reasoned discussions.
It's just like anecdote theater shows up, and there is. Based on Caleb Durward's tweet, there is a video of Li Shitian shuffling for 8 minutes.
That's what he says.
Now,
then people are. I have not seen the video. Someone else said that it was much shorter than that. The 8 minutes has been sort of disseminated out there.
Well, that's terrific, because again, and here we are, right? Where man, I heard blah blah blah. Well, no, so and so debunked it. Well, so and so doesn't care if that happened or not. Like, it's one thing after another, and at some point you have to go like, these are just kind of weird stories. And like, I understand that one time Seth Manfield turned somebody down for a concession where he was in the same position and got it or whatever. But like, okay, so are these people savage?
I mean, this has been really enlightening to me, because when I got my Hall of Fame ballot a couple weeks ago, I asked myself what role I was meant to play in all of this. Why was I given a ballot? And what I really determined is that I am not the one to be the arbiter of perfection. It's kind of like having Courtney Love at your intervention. You know what I mean? I've made a lot of mistakes, and I make mistakes. I am not the person to judge somebody else for making a mistake. If you've had a pristine career in Magic, by all means, you can go ahead and judge people for that. But I'm not going to hold someone to that standard, because I also know what it's like to make mistakes. And so am I going to vote for somebody who's had a pristine career? Absolutely. Would I prefer that? Absolutely. But I also am willing to look at somebody who's made a mistake, and I'm willing to look for growth, and I'm willing to look for ownership. Have they owned their madness? Are they dealing with it? Can I look back at their career in 5 years and 10 years and see growth there? Or are they still the same person? Are we still dealing with their ass like we are with Bertoncini? And so it's very interesting for me to see people write people off for one mistake. And I wish I had a career like that where I could afford to judge people like that, but I haven't, and I won't do that. And so, I just find it so interesting that so many people are being written off because of, like you said, a moment, an accusation, a whisper, a shuffle. I won't do that. And so I feel like some of my votes might be controversial in that vein, but I'm not the one to judge people for that. I'm looking for different things. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for change. And if I see that, I will certainly commend that. But, in cases like Bertoncini's, I don't see that. And so I'm not going to compliment that. I'm not going to, do anything about that. But I just feel like for me, it's been a very different experience than for other people. I'm looking at people through a different lens.
So it's just going to be a very interesting Pro Tour Hall of Fame week ahead of us, because by stats alone, you have obviously Tamaharu Saito, you have Li Shichan, and you have Marcio Carvalho, all of whom have 5 Pro Tour top 8s. Then at 4, you've also got these recent talks about Seth Manfield. So those are the 4 people who are most, this week, have been brought up most specifically with shady behavior. With Lishi Chan and Seth Manfield, it is much newer information, but with Marcio and Saito, it has, we've already seen suspensions and whatnot.
Right.
But beyond them, there are a good number of pristine, it seems, candidates. People like Tsuyoshi Aikida, Marine Liebert, Mark Herberholtz, Tomohiro Kaji. There are lots of Ken Yukihiro is another Japanese name on the list. There are lots of names that there hasn't been that discussion on, and so this is going to be a really interesting Pro Tour Hall of Fame season. I'm honored to have the opportunity to vote, and I'm taking my responsibility very seriously. I've been doing research pretty much every day. I had lots of face-to-face conversations in Los Angeles when I was there this weekend with people who I know and respect and wanted their opinions on. But boy, this is this is the toughest one I've seen.
It's and we'll move on here in just one second. I would just note that it feels like next week we'll have sort of our unveiling of our ballots, and we can talk about who our final choices are, because that's the deadline, people. So get over it.
Aaron, are you gonna tell us who you chose?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm leaning towards no. I mean, as of right now, I have no desire to.
Wow.
But
I haven't decided.
I've always made mine public, and I plan on it.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I feel and they encourage you to. They want you to be like, look, you don't have to, but it's a good thing. And let's just to bring up conversation. It's kind of gotten a weird negative spin this time, even more so than usual, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But for LST, which I think is awesome, Li Shitian, that's terrific.
LST, and the Manimal.
And the Manimal, Seth.
My second favorite nickname.
Seth Manfield.
No one's talking about Siggy? Come on.
Yeah.
Siggy is also on the ballot. I mean, there are so many people on this ballot with 3 top 8s and either a win in the Pro Tour or a relevant win elsewhere. Folks like Siggy, Jerry Thompson, Craig Westco, Brad Nelson, Sam Black.
Right.
There are so many names on the list who are like right there.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we'll move on here, but one day, if it's 10 years after his first pro point event where he earned pro points, and he has over 100 of them, Alex Bertoncini could be on this list.
I think it's 150 now.
Oh, 150. Sorry, 150 pro points, and again, 10 years after. But that's a thing right now that we could be looking at, and I swear to God, if he makes it even to the top 16 of the Pro Tour Ravnica Allegiance, this will be the one in February that he just qualified for. Yep. How is that good for the game? How is that good for literally anything? Someone has to tell me that, and no one's saying. I got nothing. All right. So there's some organized play changes. Let's talk a little bit, just sort of straight facts, a little bit less drama going on. There was an organized play update, and you're always worried when Wizards is like, this is phase 1. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, Twitter was bracing for the worst.
Yeah, you don't phase 1 a lot with Wizards and get positive things, just to be clear. But this time it was, and that's terrific. They noted essentially that instead of just getting the Pro Club benefits, silver, gold, platinum, and so on, for 1 cycle, you get them for 2 cycles. You used to get them for a whole year.
Jack Kiefer is a gold level pro now. Like, Look at God. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I was spell slinging this weekend with Corey Baumeister,
there you go.
Who previously thought, because he's not going to Richmond, previous to this update, thought that he had to top 2 the Grand Prix in Los Angeles in order to make platinum, and now I think has a whole nother cycle. I might have that wrong, but yeah, he lost his winning in for top 8.
Oh wow. Well, and he's a great player. That's Brad Nelson's brother.
Yeah.
Anyway, the idea that they're stretching them out to 2 quote unquote cycles rather than 1 cycle, like they kind of cut pretty deep with this. You have to re-up your status every 3 months thing,
it's rough. That's
crazy.
A rough train to stay on.
Yeah.
2 cycles is twice as many as 1. So at least I'm not a math scientist, but that's much easier.
I mean, it has to be easier in some regard, but again, now they're essentially saying where we used to give you a year of these benefits, now we're only giving you like 6 months of these benefits. So good luck with that. More or less have to work twice as hard for the same amount of benefits. Right. So there's that. That said, they're also inviting the top 8 teams after PT number 3 will receive invites and airfare to PT number 4. They invited 16 teams this time because it was PT 25. They're cutting it down to 8. So that's interesting.
Which is good. I'm happy that they've made that change.
Yeah.
And that means that Haruruya Latin, Ultimate Guard, Channel Fireball, MTGO Traders, Genesis, and Connected Company all are getting invites.
Nice. Well,
if they didn't previously.
Right. And the updated team series rules, the top 8 teams after the final 2018-2019 PT season receive invites and airfare to the first Pro Tour of the 19 to 20 season. The first Pro Tour of 2019 is, wait for it, play the game. See the Cleveland in February. Oh, yeah.
They keep putting these February Pro Tours in cold weather cities. It's bizarre.
I don't understand it. Do you know how miserable Ohio is in February? What are you doing?
Look, I'm an Ohio boy. I love states that have the seasons. That's why I live where we skip the bad ones. So what you don't want to do is be flying into Cleveland International on February 20th or 15th. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's go to Cleveland. Like, Cleveland's a nice city and all.
It's a fine city.
Got to protect the land. But it's not like it's not like it's Bright Lights beef jerky. You know what I mean?
And look, Ohio may be the greatest thing since sliced cheese. I'm just saying, in the dead of winter, essentially, just trying to get out of winter.
Is out.
Let's go to Ohio in the spring. Let's go to Ohio in the fall.
Ohio is gorgeous in like March, April, September, October. Absolutely beautiful. Cleveland's a great city. It's got like really interesting neighborhoods, old neighborhoods that are super fun to be in, and it's got a nice downtown atmosphere. In February, it's going to be sleeting, and it's going to be gross.
It's going to be rough, and there's going to be big giant piles of black nasty snow.
And then they're going to put the Summer Pro Tour in Houston, and it's just like, what are you doing?
The next Pro Tour is going to be in the Sahara Desert in August.
Everyone get ready for Pro Tour Center of the Sun in July.
Oh, man. It's just, and I'll keep saying this, okay? I've had this in my mind for a long time. I'm telling you, Wizards, buy a building, make it a museum / event center. That's what you do. That's your answer.
Put a physical Hall of Fame in the building.
Yes.
Run it in LA or Seattle or whatever.
You do it in Seattle. You do it right there in Renton or close nearby, so that you have all of WotC brass there every time. Can you imagine how awesome you could make the set design and like the look and feel of the room when you own the place? They do it
for PAX anyway, which we're going to be talking about in a minute.
Sure.
They do it for PAX. Why don't they just have a permanent spot down the street?
I mean, you just the whole like logistics of trying to set up a big event, even if it's not that large, like as a Pro Tour, you're talking about sort of 500 attendees or whatever. It's still a lot, and there's costs involved, and you have to fly people all over the world. Like, you don't think you can't get a deal from an airline if you're saying, I'm going to fly in 500 people here? Like, they would help you out. I want to fly 500 people here 4 times a year. They would absolutely be like, sure, you get a giant rebate, blah, 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 blah. Like, think about the implications of being able to go to the mecca of Renton, of the Hall of Fame. I will pay you admission. I'll get to walk through, and there'll be like video essays going. There'll be memorabilia from the first PTs and stuff. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm
just not excited for Pro Tour Medicine Hat 2020. Fucking Northern Canada. Get ready for Pro Tour Moose Jaw. We're getting our international flights ready to go.
Excuse me. Have you been working out, my friend? Is there a little bit?
No, I've not been working out at all.
A little bit of gun action.
The camera adds 10 pounds.
To the guns. All right, and here's the last change. And this is one of those...
My guns are stronger because I'm carrying you both through the show.
Wow.
Oh.
Look,
it's not even true, but it was a really funny line.
It was a good one. The last one is something that should have happened forever ago, but you know what? Better late than never. They are in the process right now of reviewing pro player candidates to work with Wizards of the Coast as consultants to help shape the future of the Pro Tour and Magic Pro Gaming. Wow! We haven't said that like 12 years ago when I was like, man, you should just ask people who are literally impacted by your decisions what your decisions could impact them with. Like, you know, who live it and like will be affected by it. This is one of those like, really, guys? A classic Wizard's tale is we decided on XYZ, and then the group who's affected by XYZ is super pissed because we didn't think about ABC. Like, I swear that is a tale as old as time for Wizards. And this time, and you can even see it in Commander 2018. Look at how sweet Commander 2018 is because they worked with the rules committee. They actually had them come in and work on the cards and maybe some of the designs versus the other Commander products. Like, I honestly feel like there's a much higher level of design and interactivity and super cool stuff going on with Commander 2018, clearly because they did that. Like, I'm glad. I can only imagine all of their pro player adjustments are going to be pretty sweet moving forward because they actually asked these people. Like,
right.
It's weird that it finally took this long, but
yeah, it is bizarre considering, you know, the NFL has the players committee, all of the major sports have a players committee, and Magic just didn't have one. I mean, this is a problem with all sorts of card games and esports. You know, poker has been going through this for decades where they don't have a sort of a players union or a players committee talking to tournament organizers. Tournament organizers take it upon themselves to bring in players, but there's no centralized tour like there is for Magic. Well, and so the fact that they've finally gotten to this point, I mean, it took us a while, but at least we're here now.
Well, sometimes the players do it to themselves because, again, I've been around long enough to where I was there when there was a pro players committee thing going around. There was a pro players sort of like, you know, people who want to talk to Wizards about what's going on in the pro club, what's going on in the pro side of Magic. And Wizards said, look, at this pro tour, I think it was the World Championships, but it could have been elsewhere. At one of the pro tours, they said, look, we'll be here. You guys, you know, come to us. We'll sit down. We'll talk about it. We'll figure this out. And nobody showed up. No one cared enough to go. And that was, I mean, honestly, that probably put us back until now. Like, you know, that was a huge blow to the idea that the players really give a crap, you know, about what's going on. Of course they care. It's just that at the time they didn't do it the right way. So it was really unfortunate for that stuff. But Owen Turtenwald has a article about this, which is basically like, okay, this is great. this is all fine and good, and this is sweet.
He says that it's good, not great.
Fair enough.
But that's better than usual.
Than bad. Now, it is absolutely convoluted. What in the world is going on with this system? I am glad that none of my income is tied to me understanding how in the world any of this works. Because it's weird, and there's points that fall, and you get them, and there's only certain events and stuff. And yeah, it becomes an issue. And so the idea that Owen is like, this is good. I'm like, wow, that's a positive. So we can move on with this stuff because, again, stage one, right? Whew, man, we got to get moving here because we only have a few more minutes. All right, so there's a fake card problem in Magic, and our good buddy Seth, friend of the show, MTG Goldfish runner himself,
Wait, who's Seth? There we go.
Yes.
Probably better known as
the
Probably. You got to get that in there. Just
the pitch. He essentially goes over in a really nice, great detail where he's mentioned that, look, Modern has gotten 20% more expensive. Foils and holo stamps are now starting to show up on the counterfeits, and you know how real is too real a sort. Then we had it was Andrew Jessup, who was playing with fake cards and didn't know it and got a game loss out of it and had to go buy some new ones. Posted a picture on Twitter where you're like...
Jim Davis was asked to sign a bunch of cards, I believe. And then when he took them out of the sleeves to sign them, he discovered that they were fake as well. And also came back to... the cards were also tied to TCG Player. The person had bought them through TCG Player, which is where Andrew got his cards from, too.
Wow. Well, I mean... There you go. So those are some incidents by themselves. I mean, we're getting to the point, essentially, where if it's double sleeved and it's across the table and I'm not over there like trying to pick apart your card or whatever, I probably won't even ever notice. And there's entire subreddits now devoted to fake cards, which I'm not going to bother giving them any attention. But there are out there. There's entire outfits that will print you whatever cards you want for whatever price they're currently charging, which of course is way less than the real thing. There are concerns about authenticity. Cool Stuff's already addressed this many months ago, and this was partially for the board game world because board gamers also are concerned about counterfeiters. Like when you buy a board game off Amazon, sometimes it's not legitimate. Sometimes it's not real. So if you ever get a board game from Amazon and it feels like clinky and dinky and like badly produced, you might want to just double check that it's the real factual thing. And Cool Stuff, essentially has a guarantee that, all of our stuff is real because, we get it from the right places. But anyway, the idea that, we want to do something. Well, TCG Player crafted a
hey friends, counterfeit card.
Sorry, they crafted a response video. And
bizarre.
It was kind of bizarre. It was a little weird.
I watched it once and then didn't really know what I just watched. So then I watched it a second time just to verify. It was sort of like I've decided I'm not going to say that sentence. It was very strange.
It was odd. And I was noting essentially this was my expectation, right? When I saw TCG Player, talks about the counterfeiting issue, I was expecting them to be like, yo, this is so-and-so, and then they are an expert in finding counterfeits, and they know exactly how to do it, and check out their cool jeweler loop and things, and this is the process that cards go through to make sure that they're the real stuff, and yada yada. And it's like tie jokes. It's like putting on tie jokes and having a shirt, and then how to get the tie off joke stuff. There's people with their fingers on fire.
I thought I was watching an episode of Tim and Eric's Awesome Show. Great job, presented by TCG
Player. It did feel kind of like a kid's show.
It was just like a kind of
hi boys and girls, we're going to talk about counterfeits
for this issue.
Yeah.
You can't sort of do the surrealist or even the comedic thing. This is like a serious thing. If I'm going to give you my money for a product, I want you to be serious that it's the real thing, even if it's just a tiny little smidgy, of percentage. You don't have to make light of that percentage. You can be like, look, this is how low it is because we bust our butts to make sure this is the real stuff. Like that's part of the messaging. So
now, to be fair, the content of the video was good. They had good words.
The words were good. Words, yes, about how they obviously care. They want to make it work.
The guy who just downloaded iMovie and decided to use all of the clip art that he found, less than stellar.
It's a little odd. I feel like, maybe they could remake that one with a more serious tone of people whose job it is to make sure this stuff doesn't go through the system.
So, but let me ask a serious question though, and I'm not trying to. So it's my understanding that TCG Player, and maybe I've just been spending too much time around my finance exams, but it's my understanding that TCG Player is sort of like the broker-dealer here, where it's like, it's not like Cool Stuff Inc., where you guys are physically inspecting all of the cards, you guys are at the events. TCG Player is just sort of brokering these deals between local game stores, home vendors. They're not actually touching or seeing the cards. So what
I don't think that's correct, because
so there's two things that TCG Player does. One of them is TCG Player Direct, where they sell their cards from their stock.
I think what they're really known for is sort of the go-between
dealer. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
so in that case, what would you have liked them to have shown you in that video?
Well, in those instances, it is more difficult. In those instances, you would say, look, if you ordered from someone and they sent you, we were essentially just the broker of that, you would send us the cards and we would inspect them and let you know if they were fake or not. That's just sort of how those transactions have to work.
Okay.
But for their direct stuff, they can say, and they'd be like, look, here's what a counterfeit card looks like. Look, it just snapped in half over the bin
I was
test.
just more asking about the things they have no physical contact with.
Right. And that's just a customer service issue. And again, that's easily handled, in my opinion, in terms of the way they handle it.
Okay.
But we got to keep moving. There's just too much stuff. Oh, my God. Moving on here to Desperate Ravings. Well, Magic is going to be at PAX West. Let's see if Eldrazi are going to climb out of the building and smash police cars at PAX West.
It's going to be guild themed, right? We're going to have the Tin Street, and you can go shopping at I don't know, what's a merchant's name that I can't think of.
I don't know.
Rakdos is going to be there. He's going to be marching down the street with his big fire whip, and you're going to get to go to the festival, to the carnival, and you're going to get to go to you're going to go visit Matt Celestia over with Tristani and see the creepy druid cult hippies that go to Burning Man every year, and all those sweet, awesome guilds.
Absolutely. Well, all I know is that on Saturday, September 1st at 6:30 p.m., that would be PST. 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. They are going to have their panel. Essentially, this is where they have the chance to show off the cool new stuff, and they're going to show off some Ravnica stuff. And so there's going to be plenty of card previews and that, as long as art previews and world building and whatnot. And it's going to be hosted by Josh Lee Kwai. Yay! Way to go, Josh!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Josh Lee Kwai, famous, of course, for game nights, the Command Cast, with Jimmy Wong off in China, getting down to business to defeat the Huns. It has fallen to Josh Lee Kwai to be the anchor at this particular event, which I'm very excited about. I saw him on Geek and Sundry recently doing their Learn to Play series for Magic, and he's all over the place. He's blowing up.
That's sweet. And I mean, and Jimmy Wong just got the what was the role he got in Mulan?
Ling. So
yes.
If you go back and watch the old cartoon, Ling is the one that kind of talks like this and has the big long mustache.
Wow. Okay.
But they cast Jimmy because it's a live action movie and you want attractive people.
We almost made Aaron spit on that one. That one was good. All right.
Am I breaking news to you that Jimmy Wong is an attractive person?
No.
Okay, no. Dude.
I thought it surprised you. Spoiler alert.
My favorite being his 1 year after he decided to take working out seriously, and he's just super ripped, looking great. Keep that
Jimmy
up.
Wong for Jimmy. Bam.
Jimmy. Well, moving on, Jerry Thompson has a charity auction benefiting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Rare MTG swag, including this R&D exclusive playmat and the foil 25th anniversary playmat. These are all very rare items and super, super cool. Linked you there to the tweet so you can go find them. The R&D playmat with just the sort of the drawn out images.
Everybody wants that playmat.
Oh,
yeah,
it is so nice. That playmat is up to $585 right now, with almost 4 days left. So if you want to get in, it ain't going to be cheap. But of course, congrats to Jerry. He's been doing amazing things for charities and whatnot, and charity auctions with his Pro Tour stuff for a while now. And that's always
you
worth
want to
celebrating.
talk about people who are really doing something for the community. Jerry Thompson. Eligible for the Hall of Fame, 3 Pro Tour top 8s and 1 Pro Tour win. And you talk about community contributions, publishing his decks publicly on the GAM podcast with Brian Gottlieb, selling so many things over the years, not just these playmats, but his Pro Tour winning trophy, lots of stuff from over the years. Just go take a look. It's just a fun thing.
I mean, Jerry is just good people. And as someone who got to see Jerry sort of start out a little on the, I guess a cranky's way to put it, maybe inside, maybe a little aloof, sort of,
Who, Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
A little rough around the edges.
Midwest going to PTQs, the same PTQs as Jerry. We were both small children,
Well,
you got to let people grow and change. Well, if Green Day was on MTV when they first formed, no one would have liked them. No one would have signed them to a record deal. You got to let bands be bad for a couple of years before they make it big. You know what I mean? And that's I think that's a good moral.
There you go. So there were a lot of national championships that happened.
Oh my God.
Including Autumn Burchett, back-to-back English champion.
It's Burchett. Okay,
oh God, Burchett. Sorry.
Fix that. Yeah.
The CH is silent, and also you put a K in there.
Yeah, so Autumn is the back-to-back English champion. This was huge. I'm so happy for them. They beat out 450 people. They've just been killing it lately, and I'm so proud of them. And it was a big deal. Ada Wasala won Norway. She made top 4, and then she won the whole thing. Nikolai Herzig, Hall of Famer, was in the top 8 as well. Joel Larsen, lockdown Swedish champion. Mark Tobias.
It's time in a couple of years that Joel has not already been team captain.
Yeah.
And so him winning the tournament and becoming the national champion was his avenue in, which I thought was pretty great.
Mark Tobias won. And can we talk about Nissa Cosplay for a second, coming in 9th? In cosplay. She played the damn thing in cosplay and then came in 9th on Breakers. Give her all the awards. She's so sickening. I love her. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, look, there was also the premiere of Card Kingdom's local game show.
Yeah.
Reuben, you want to talk to us about this one a little bit?
Yeah, that was 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
That was just a feel-good moment. After all of this week's just garbage and weight
Literally.
being piled on our shoulders, and mudslinging and hatred and talk of cheating and racism and bad stuff. This was just a nice, just fun time with members of the community. This is a creation of Sam Tang's, Samo Tango on the Twitters. He's an amazing content producer based in Seattle. He and TG Rogers, the Red Mage MTG, who you've seen do commentary recently, teamed up to be the sort of host and scorekeeper in a wait, don't tell me style. Which, of course, the finisher on this show is also inspired by Wait, Don't Tell Me. A little bit of NPR news game trivia for you. But yeah, hashtag CKLGS. Go look it up. And I think it's already up on their Twitch. If you haven't seen it already, it's about an hour and 15 minutes with Cedric Phillips, Gaby Sparks, Ashlen Rose, and the professor from Tolarian Community College playing Magic trivia and having a generally good time.
I was really excited. I was really excited to see this for two reasons. One, I'm a big fan of Sam's. I've been on a show. I've gotten a chance to work with Sam, and I got the chance to work with TJ back when I worked at Card Hoarder. We all did coverage. They were my coverage buddies when we were in the trenches at Pro Tour Excellence. I have a great appreciation for them individually and as a duo. I think they work really well together. And I also love the idea of a Magic game show. I feel like it's something people have tried to make happen. Like different websites have tried it. I know Ilian was doing a game show thing for a little while, and so
there was Ilian. Ilian is, I think he's still working on the next episode of that. Obviously, Windmill Slam was a big thing for a while. But yeah, this one was a home run. They had about 550 to 600 viewers the whole time. Great really graphics, really well done by the CardKingdom crew. It was just a home run all the way around.
The little hedrons that they used for like ABCD.
The graphic design of the physical and the software and the hardware that they had was just perfect.
Yeah, it was really nice. We'll move on here to splash damage. Our last few minutes here. First of all, I'll note again, our Kickstarter ends in 4 minutes. If you want to be a part of it, we are at $4,158.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys. I am blown away as always. Fantastic. But here to splash damage, DotA gave away like $1 bajillion. The game,
so much money. It's
insane. And note that the pool is generally made up of like little tiny slivers of transactions based on things that you buy in Dota, right? And that adds up to a huge pool, blah, blah, blah.
So let's look at the breakdown. So first place gets $10,908,713. Second place, $3,966,805. And, don't feel too bad for 16th place, y'all, because 16th place only gets $123,963. I don't know what they're going to do, but let's pour one out for 16th place because that is a hard life right
16th place, they would get the equivalent of 12.5 Grand Prix wins, okay? Just want you to know that.
That's about 3 times what I make at my job, like a day job. Like, Jesus.
It's shocking that no other game has really tried to do what Valve does with the International. I mean, as far as I'm aware, this is the only esport that has this massive size prize pool, sort of outsizing even bigger games than Dota. League of Legends doesn't have a tournament this big. I don't know how big Overwatch is comparatively, but like StarCraft doesn't have anything this big. I don't know how popular Dota is, but I can't imagine they're 5 times more popular than every other game, at least twice as popular. I mean, $18 million prize pool is a ludicrous number for a game, and it's all thanks to this this thing that they do, which is that they sell what they call compendium purchases to fans, which basically allow fans to directly contribute to the prize pool. And I am unaware of any other esport ever having tried this. But, boy, that would be great for Magic, huh? If some of our, Magic folks that have expendable income, whose money is worth less than their time, as opposed to Magic pros whose time is worth less than their money, do a little bit of exchange there. Put some money into the pockets of these people who are providing the entertainment. If we could do something like that, I think that'd be great.
If only, we bought things in bits and chunks on Magic Online, and you could take little pieces of those and put those towards prize pools. They ended up over $25 million.
Easy
Crazy.
now.
was the largest one ever, over
Yeah, of course.
11 million to first place at that point, and up to 125K for 16th place out there. But regardless, this is the idea that, you're taking a small part and providing it to be a huge event, because there's a lot of money to be made on zeros and ones, and Wizards is like, we're going to keep that. We'll just put that over here in the bank.
There must be a reason why no other game has tried this before.
Yeah.
So
whatever it is, it clearly works for Dota 2. All right, so Twitch is bringing back ads. If you have bought Twitch Prime, that's not good enough anymore. Starting September 14th, ad-free viewing is no longer a part of it. They finally found a reason to give a crap about Twitch Turbo, because Lord God, no one did.
Yeah, it's debatable whether the most important feature of Twitch Prime is either the free sub, which, by the way, if you got that free sub, click that button. It's up there somewhere, and you haven't used it yet. But the other important feature is the no ads. So that's kind of weird. Like, how is that going to affect our show? Are we going to have to wait 30 seconds before the intro to our show?
It's possible.
Oh my God, that's annoying.
But here's the real killer. People were telling me they have run 30-minute ads before. 30 minutes. Can you imagine?
Well, the interesting thing is they're trying to sell this as being a win for the streamer. They're saying that the ad revenue is going to somehow benefit the streamer more than it would if you took away the ads. I'm not really sure how that's going to trickle down, but that's one of the reasons they're selling it, as this being a good thing of, it's going to make the streamer that you're trying to support, it's going to be better for them. And it's like,
I don't know. Now, someone mentioned unless the folks are subbed to you, maybe their subscription has something to do with their ads. I'm not sure anymore, because now they just muddy the waters. It's fine. But our Kickstarter's officially ended. $4,158. Thank you so much. 127 amazing people to help us.
Nice.
Thank you.
Ruben, we got jokes to write, my friend.
How many potatoes do I have to write? I got 5 at the top level.
5 at the top level.
And I think I have 10 at the second level, right?
Yep. God. 15 new jokes, sir.
Man, if only I were funny.
Well, I also remembered to choose a winner at Gleam.io, which it's awesome because Pharmacist Judge totally caught me doing that. That I remembered, I got to click around to stuff. But Nathan A., speaking of Ohio, from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Hey, Cincinnati.
Has won a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. So
perfect.
We will be contacting you. Aaron has the ability to do that. She'll ship you that code. It'll be super sweet. You buy whatever you want, because we have cool stuff in stock, and it's great.
Several of my favorite all-time Magic people are from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nice.
Members of the Bridge podcast.
Oh, I know Nathan.
I want to shout them out real quick. So there you go.
That's sweet. Well, there you go. But that also has us turn the corner to the finisher. Now, before we start the finisher, I want to thank those who have subscribed. We just mentioned the Prime subscriptions, which Will Del I Am V5 has done so.
Thank you.
Wilder New Year has also done so. Thank you.
Great.
Mork Roth with 10 bits. Thunder Voice _1 has 100 bits. H. Kane Andrew has used 16 bits. Drunk Gaming for 100 bits, which we appreciate.
Drunk Gaming!
Joe the Mero, has subscribed via Prime. Thanks a lot. Which
Thank
is
you.
awesome. Of course, H2O Happy Do was hosting this. That was pretty cool. Let's see here. And Darren X has subscribed via Prime. Thanks much. And that sort of ends our list for this evening. But again, thank you.
Well, obviously, we also have to thank the 128 backers.
Absolutely.
Of our Kickstarter for a grand total of... They didn't all pull out at the end. We thought it would be hilarious if like someone had pulled out so that we were, that's 3,999. But no, we got 4,159 locked in, so we are going to have special guests.
I also want to give a special shout out to people who I know that some of our followers and our listeners were a little strapped for cash.
Oh, of
course. So I just wanted to stress that we appreciate any support, whether it be a like or a share. If you weren't able to contribute financially, that's fine. Word of mouth really helped us as well.
Yes.
Even the people in our Discord. We never want you to feel like the only way you can contribute is financially. We appreciate you tuning in, the downloads, the listens, the shares, all of that, the likes, a review somewhere. There are so many ways to support us, and we really do appreciate all of that.
Yeah, an absolute perfect way to do so. If you have a moment, again, it costs $0, which is to go leave a review on iTunes of what you think about the show. You know, like it, love it, hate it, think we're weird, whatever. Like those types of feedback loops, having those reviews helps hugely in terms of when they list, you know, what podcasts are important to whatever genre that we talk about. So that stuff is always greatly, greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
So this week was so
we survived.
We got there, was so action-packed with Twitter drama, social media shade, response articles, call-outs, shout-outs, dropouts, mudslinging, tea drinking, policy updates, and official announcements that we didn't even touch on Monday's banned and restricted announcement. Did you know that happened, guys? Did you?
I did, yeah.
That's weird.
I knew that because I wrote this joke.
That's right. And of course, the reason is because no changes to anything at all. Thank the DCI gods that no new drama was added to stir the pot, but if you could have made one change to Wizards of the Coast banned and restricted list, what would you change and why, Reuben?
Well, everyone knows that I'm all about getting that hashtag Justice for Earthcraft.
Yeah,
legacy.
you are.
Oh my God.
But
Can you make a
importantly-
t-shirt already? Can you just make a t-shirt?
Yeah, hashtag Justice for Earthcraft.
Yeah.
Spam Twitter. Don't worry about it.
Hello, everybody. Evan here. Unfortunately, and I have no idea why this is the case, I will be investigating, but the software cut out for Reuben during his joke. And it sucks that you're going to miss out on such a good joke, so I want to perform the joke. Maybe it's not as good as he did, but we'll see what we can do here. Reuben says, everyone knows that I'm all about getting hashtag Justice for Earthcraft and Legacy, but more importantly, I was hoping for a ban on those basic land judge proxy Nexus of Fates. If you're going to play a card that has no non-foil versions, you either pimp out your ride or you stay home with your broke ass. So that's what you were going to officially miss out on. And here's Aaron.
The Duelist Convocation International won't let me and my liches have Dread Return or Golgari Grave Troll in Modern. The least they could do is let me play more than one Lion's Eye Diamond in Vintage, because diamonds are a girl's best friend.
That's right. Well, look, I am honestly fine with the announcement that no changes were made to the BNR update for Standard, Modern, and Vintage, so long as the next update to the ban list includes forbidding using any copies of this past week's Magic news cycle anytime in the future.
Amen.
I'm fine with that. It's been exhausting.
It was a heck of a week, but we made it. So that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thank you for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Reuben.
Thanks, buddy.
Got that tea at the ready.
I'm all done. We're good.
Terrific. Moving to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Reuben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening, and I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast@libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.